Okay, in this recording, I'm going to go over how to make frequency tables, pie charts, bar charts, histograms, frequency polygon, and a cumulative frequency polygon in Excel using pivot tables and the chart functions in Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Second, share screen. Okay, so we've got this right here is we've got a few different tabs. You might not have these tabs: the frequency table, pie chart, bar chart, histogram, frequency polygon. I just put those there to be able to remind myself, hey, this is what it is that I need to go over. But you should have these four tabs right here. So you have raw data with numbers, raw data with text, clean data with numbers, and clean data with text. And in a different lecture, I go over why it's really important to do that, to have clean data. But we are going to have clean data with text, and this is what we're going to be using for the most part right now. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and start right here with the raw data with text. And I am going to, let's see here, delete this. Um, and then I'm going to make a pivot table and show you why it's so important to have clean data. So let's see here, in existing workbook, I'm going to put it frequency table. Okay. Oops. I want it right there. Okay, and then I am going to dun 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 dun. Um, okay, so how much would you expect to spend on a meal? This is why you need clean data. Um, these are all the different answers that I got. And so when I got these answers, what I did is I went in here and I said 10 to 15. Okay, I'm going to put it in as $12.50. 15 to 20. Okay, I'm going to put it in as 17.50. And $50, I put it in as 50. 50 bucks, 50. Hot tea, I don't know what I did with that. But yeah. So that's why you need to have clean data. And so this raw data with text, even though it's we've got some good data in here, we need to clean it up before we actually use it. So we're going to do the clean data with text, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this. So click on clean data with text, and I'm going to highlight. Notice I have the type of variable that it is right there, but I'm going to highlight everything except for that. If I highlight this top row right there, it's going to think that these are the names of the columns. So I'm going to insert pivot table. And then for you, you're probably going to say, okay, select table range. We've got that. That's what we highlighted. You're probably going to want to put new worksheet, but I'm going to put existing worksheet, and I'm going to say I want it in the frequency table. So I'm going to put it right there, press OK. And let's go ahead and start with favorite restaurant. Okay, so right away I just click on there and it puts all of the values or all of the favorite restaurants right there. But that's all that it gives me. Next thing that I might want to know is the count of the favorite restaurant. And so this literally gives me the number of individuals that chose each one of these restaurants. So that right there is a qualitative frequency table where I have the qualitative variables, the qualitative choices right there, and the count of the qualitative choices right below. So more specifically, this is for nominal. Okay. Now I'm going to take this, Control C, Control V. So what I just did there is I copied and pasted the entire uh, pivot table, and it basically gives me a whole new pivot table to work with without having to go through the previous, highlighting it, make new pivot tables, so on and so forth. So what I have to do now is I have to change, okay, I don't want favorite restaurant anymore. I want likelihood to, I don't know, likelihood to purchase pizza. Okay, so extremely likely, extremely unlikely, moderately likely. Notice that it puts it in alphabetical order. So I just clicked on that and then it puts it into rows, and then I'm going to pull it into values as well, and it's going to give me the count. Okay, and so extremely likely, extremely unlikely, so on and so forth. Now, there's something that I didn't do here that I want to go ahead and do, and I'm also going to do it here as well, but we're going to change the order. Okay, so we're going to right click and I'm going to say, let's see here, sort smallest to largest or largest to smallest. I'm going to do largest to smallest. So now we've got the most popular, least popular down here. Okay, this one right here is similar, except what we've got to do now is we've got to put it, because this is not nominal data. This right here is ordinal. So it has an order, and we actually want it to be in the order that it should be in. And so we're going to drag it. Extremely unlikely. So we've got extremely likely, moderately likely, and then we're going to do moderately unlikely right down here. And on a Mac, I'll be honest, I really don't know if it's the same thing. For me, I'm just hovering over it just a little bit, and it gives me this cursor that says, okay, you can move this. And so you can move it like that. Or let's see here, move. Uh, yeah, so you can also right click and move up, move down, so on and so forth. And hopefully on your Mac, you can do that. So when you have ordinal data, you're going to actually want it in the order that it should be in. So the frequency table should be in the order that it should be in. So now let's look at interval data. Let's we're going to once again copy and paste, Control C, Control V, and let's look at interval data. First date year. Whoops, that's not what I want. I want to get rid of this. And first date year. Let's do this right here. That works. Um, so we've got interval data, and with this interval data, let's see here. Is there a different one that I? No, we can keep it at that. With this interval data, we are going to, number one, get rid of the blanks. So I'm going to see, you'll see, okay, let's pull it right here. And it says sum of the first. So we don't want the sum, we want the count because it's a frequency. So we're going to summarize values. I right clicked and I said summarize values by count. Okay. And then I am also going to, it doesn't have any blanks, but I'm going to get rid of the blanks. So I'm going to, whoops. Let's see here. Hide selected item. So I right clicked and I did filter and I said hide selected item because I didn't want to see blanks in there. So we've got the count of the first date year. And then the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want a cumulative. So we do first date year and we pull it in right here again. And once again, it gives us the sum. We don't want the sum. We want summarize values by count. And then we're going to show values as percent of our running total in the first date year. So now we've got the running total, and it goes all the way from 1 all the way up to 49. So there were actually probably 2 blanks. It just didn't count in there, but there were 2 blanks. So we've got the cumulative count, and then we've got the count, and then first date here. And then we can also do count pizza likelihood. Likelihood. And then favorite restaurant. And then count again. And so next we're going to do, let's see here, spent on books. So we're going to copy and paste this, Control C, So we've got interval, and then the last one is going to be ratio. So we're going to get rid of first date year, and I just clicked it and all the first date year goes away. And I am going to put in there, let's see here, spent on books. Once again, it just pulls it right into values. I don't want sum. So I want spent on books, and it has first date year again. So we're going to uh, spent on books. Actually, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do duration. Let's get rid of that. So we've got duration, and the reason why I'm going to do duration is because it's the hardest one to do. And I don't think that I asked you guys to do this one. So duration, and this is how long it took the individuals to complete the survey. So show val or summarize values as count. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to group these. And so a lot of times you can just right click and you can click group and press OK. And then it groups it really pretty, but here it does not group it so pretty. Okay, and the reason why it does not group it so pretty is because it puts everything right in there between 91 and 1090, and it puts all almost all of them right there. So I'm going to ungroup, and I'm going to group it the way that I want to group it. So we're going to group it, and we're going to start at 90, and I'm going to show you right down here. It goes up to 405, and then it goes, okay, we've got 1000-ish, and then we've got 5000. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to group starting at 0, going to 500, and I'm going to group it by 100. Okay, so that looks pretty good. You can also do 2 to the k is greater than n rule, which would be a really good thing to do as well. But right here, what you'll see is we've got, you know, uh, 5 classes right here, and then we have a 6th class which is greater than 500. And for what we're doing here, that's perfectly fine. And we're able to see, okay, we've got this count of classes, and we're able to just lump everything in greater than 500. Or if you wanted to, you could do 500 up to, you know, 5,600 and whatever. And then, so we've got the classes right there. So we've got count, and then we're going to do one last one. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I need to remove this filter. Clear filter. Okay. That's the only one that I wanted the filter on. It accidentally had the filter on this one as well because I copied and pasted it. So just be careful about that. So duration, I'm going to put duration one more time, and I'm going to put the cumulative duration. So it's already count. And now I'm going to show values as running total in duration, and press OK. And I'm going to put cumulative duration count. Okay. And so now we've got the duration, the count, and this right here is ratio. So we've got 4 different frequency tables. And with these frequency tables, we're going to make different types of charts. So first, we've got the, this right here is really good for pie charts. Okay, when you have nominal data, that's really great for pie charts because it doesn't matter what order it's in. All that we're trying to do with a pie chart is show the relative frequency. So I'm going to, let's see here, insert, and then I'm going to click on that little pie chart. And then I'm going to come right here and I'm going to say, okay, total, we're going to do fave restaurant. Okay. And let's see here. You can also, let's see here, options, design, add chart element, data labels. You can outside edge. Let's see here. The other thing is you really want it to be percentages. And the reason why you want it to be percentages is because you want to show the relative frequency. Pie charts are about showing the part of the whole. And so you'll see PF Chang's and it goes in order all the way down to the smallest. And that's really the best way to do it. That way you can see them as they decrease. And it's really easy to follow along with that. Okay. Next, we want ordinal. Bar charts are really good for ordinal. And the reason why bar charts are so good for ordinal is because you're able to put them in order from extremely unlikely all the way to extremely likely. So I'm going to highlight this and I'm going to say insert. And then there's two different things that look like bar charts. This is a histogram. That's not what we're doing. And this right here is a bar chart. And so once again, I'm going to change this total. It's going to say likelihood to eat pizza. And it goes from extremely likely to extremely unlikely all the way down. And notice there's spaces, there's gaps in between these. And the reason why is because they are not right next to each other. They are separate, they are distinct, or they are quote unquote discrete. And so they do not touch one another. Okay, so we've got the bar chart right there. And so I'm going to put that up there. And then next, we need to make a histogram. So we've got a histogram right, or we've got the interval data right here, and I'm going to highlight this, and we're going to do insert. Now, if I click on histogram right here, it's going to say, you can't do this, sorry. And it says, oh, you're in a pivot table. You can't make this out of a pivot table. Well, let's take the data out of the pivot table. I just took the data out of the pivot table, and I'm going to show you again, insert histogram. Oh, now you can do it, but it's wrong, very wrong. What it's doing is it's taking all of these values right here, and it's just doing something really weird with it, saying, okay, you've got the histogram of this right here. And it's literally just giving you a histogram for these values right here. This histogram button is for you to deal with this, like the full set. Okay, so if you click on duration and then you do histogram, it'll give you this pretty little histogram. Okay. By pretty little histogram, it breaks it up into the same categories that it broke it up into last time, which looks horrible. Or if you want the, let's see here, this is the one that we're working on right now. What year did you go on your first date? Insert histogram. And that's a lot prettier, right? And so I'm going to show you it's going to do pretty much the exact same thing the way that we did it. Let's see here. What year did you go on your first date? So it broke it up into how many? 9. So if I wanted to, I could combine them, but I'm not going to combine them because sometimes when you combine stuff like that, it just makes it look worse. So I'm going to insert, and then I'm going to do a bar chart. Oops. And I've got to, hold on one second. I'm going to pull this out of here. This sometimes happens when you've got numbers in there. It tries to pull these numbers like you're comparing them to this count, but you're not. These are the labels. And so we have to tell it manually to look at it like that, like these are the labels. There's a couple different ways to do that. Oops. First, I'm going to take it out of the pivot table because sometimes when it's inside the pivot table, it makes it difficult for it to read. So we've got first date, year, and the count. And so I'm going to, let's see, insert. So it did the same thing. That's not what we want. What we want, let's go ahead and select data. So I went to chart design, select data, and then we want the dun, 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 dun. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to tell it to look at the data a little bit differently. So we're going to click on this and we're going to say, okay, we want you to look at just these values right here. And then I'm going to go to chart design and I'm going to say select data because the labels on the bottom are still bad. So select data, and for the categories, I'm going to say, okay, I want different categories and I want these categories right here. And so now it gives me 2009, 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then I'm going to press OK. And let's see here, first date year. First date year. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the blue bars and I'm going to say, I'm going to come over here to the right-hand side. It's got format data series, and on Macs, it might look a little different. So I'm going to do the series overlap of 0, gap width of 0, and it makes it into a histogram because there should be no gaps between these. There's a problem though. There should be several gaps between 2009 and 2012, right? And so what we're going to do is we are going to insert shift cells down, okay? And we're going to put 2010, and we're going to put 0, and then we're going to do it again, insert, shift cells down. And there's a reason why I'm doing insert. The reason why is because when you do insert shift cells down, it keeps everything on the chart there. If I copy and paste, so like if I copy and paste this, if I were to do, okay, Control C, Control V, well, it doesn't go with it. It just it'll the chart will still only base it off of whatever's right here. So that's why we did insert and then we put in our new values. But that's the data of the first year. And so this right here is a histogram because there's no gaps between these. There's no gap between 2010 and 2011. They're right next to each other. And then there's no gap between 2011 and 2012. So you see this is a meaningful gap because 2009 is not right next to 2012. So that right there is a histogram. And now we are going to make a frequency polygon and a cumulative frequency polygon. Okay, so right here, we're going to highlight this and we're going to do insert. And I'm going to click on this fun little, you see the lines with the dots and dot, 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 dot. So this right here is a cumulative frequency polygon and a frequency polygon. Okay, so you see this right here, this orange line, that's the cumulative frequency polygon. And then the blue line is the frequency polygon. And one of the great assets of a frequency polygon is you can have two of them overlapping and be able to show both of them at the exact same time. And so that's why you would use a frequency polygon compared to a histogram. Other than that, it's pretty much the exact same thing. So for instance, if I were to come right here and do insert, let's see here, frequency polygon, and once again, I've got to do that silly little shindig. You'll notice, let's see here, fill, no fill, okay. You'll notice I'm going to put this right here over the top of it. And let's see here, the line. I want to see if I can color. Let's do orange. Okay. You'll notice that this frequency polygon, all that it is, it's the midpoints, right? all the way across, but it's the exact same thing as a histogram. It's just a line connecting all the midpoints of the classes together. Same thing with this. I could stack two histograms on top of each other, but you couldn't see them together. You're able to stack two frequency polygons on top of each other. So that is how you make a frequency polygon. And once again, everything from a pivot chart or a pivot table. A lot of times it is beneficial to actually pull the data out of the pivot table, like what I did here. It allows you to have a little bit more flexibility. When you have data inside of a pivot table, it doesn't allow you to modify it. So in order to pull it out of the pivot table, you just don't copy the entire pivot table. Don't copy that bottom line right there. Copy everything but that bottom line. So if I were to do this, Control C, and then once again, we'll do, and I'm doing this all before, let's see here, and we're going to do insert. And then we're going to select data, edit, and then we've got a frequency polygon and a cumulative frequency polygon for this as well. And if I were to, bring this together like this and bring it up, it would, let's see here. It would look the same as what we just did earlier. But notice I've got to go all the way up to the top because 50 is all the way up there. And you won't see anywhere even close to a 50. Let's see here. You want it to be up to 10. So in order to get there, yeah, we would have to go really high up in order to be able to make that work. So that's basically because the 10 has to be the same height as right there. Oops. So that's the reason why it looked so different before. So that's how you make the frequency polygon, cumulative frequency polygon. Make sure that you use a bar chart when you have ordinal data. Use a pie chart for nominal data. That's what's most ideal. Make sure that you have the percentages because you want to see the portion of the whole. And then for these right here, make sure that the histogram, that you get rid of those gaps, and that everything is referenced below, that you've got good titles on all of these. You should have a title on this one too, but I forgot to highlight it, and then you can just add a title a little bit later. So that's pretty much how you do that all in Excel from pivot tables. Thanks.